respect, bravery, honesty, humility, truth, and wisdom, and love. When you accept those gifts, if you put those into your life, and that's how you choose to live, you'll have a good life.
It's a connection between myself and the power of what we know as God. To make that connection, individual connection with your, with self, to get to that place.
And that's the basis of who we are as Anishinaabe people, is knowing who you are and where you belong in creation.
Iroquoian creation story is not just a story. For me, it's real.
Our lives are very short, but the human beings are a beautiful creation. If we were to use our own capacity and what we were originally made to be, we're brilliant beings, but with many distractions and many other inventions, we lose that feeling, or we get more distant from the real meaning of life.
The greatest impact on my where I'm at today had a lot to do with the spiritual commitment in sun dancing. Which is usually 4 days and 4 nights without food and water, and dancing with your eyes into the sun. And
natural laws, the laws that have been created by the universe that we live within, by all of creation. In this view of the world, we are not those who are in control of, or the ones who stand at the top lording over. The world view that I'm talking about is one which sees everything as interdependent, all equal to, nothing greater than nor less than.
That languages are so intricate, and the way they all came about is a result of a greater mind, a greater energy. And that's why we say today that our languages are gifts. They are gifts of the creation, they are gifts of the Great Spirit, because there's so many of them, and we could have never devised the whole diversity of all of those languages. Well, one of the things about creation story is understanding the balance, between the left and the right-handed twin. Fulfilling ourself with self-love, that peace will come from within. And in spite of whatever goes on in our past, that we can overcome it by having love and understanding the power of forgiveness. Through life and through process, I began to say, I'm not angry at the government anymore. I'm not angry at the churches. I'm not angry about, what's happening in the natural world as far as all of these ecosystems and all of that. Because instead of being angry about it, say, okay, so what can I do to change it?
What my people, what Anishinaabe people carried. Because when I heard that teaching about the tobacco, I immediately remembered my old Christian grandma. Every time the thunder beings started being sounded, where she would put that tobacco into the fire, almost as if it was like just a natural response. When she heard them, she would feed them. She never talked about it, she just did it. Okay? And so when you hear the teaching, then you know why you're doing something. You're not just going to do it. Contemporary life, or old style life, or 3,000 years ago, or 10,000 years ago, those teachings are still the truth. And that's how you measure the value of a teaching. Is it still the truth today in the same way that it was the truth 10,000 years ago?
When I went to my first ceremony, it made the spirit connected with me, and that's my first feeling of feeling the spirit. So it's ceremony that made me feel good about who I am as a young, well, I was in my mid-30s or early 30s at that time when I first got introduced to our culture. And what struck me was the way the teachers spoke in our language, and that's the biggest thing in my life is my language. Even though I got strapped as a young boy with nuns trying to beat the language out of me, I stood up for that, and to today I still speak my language. So when I first experienced my first ceremony, I felt I was home, like it's something that connected with me in the ceremony and everybody that was there. But in ceremony, that I was part of it. I wasn't just there. I was part of it because I could understand what's happening. Because of the way the elders spoke, I could relate to what they're talking about because I knew the language. Being Medewan, you make a commitment to that life, and when someone makes that commitment, they have to be true to what they're saying. If not, it's not going to work for them. And for me, when they told me in the language, I knew what I was getting into.